Sure. Here's a completely rewritten, unique version of the script that conveys the same ideas and narrative, but in a distinct voice and structure area without copying the biggest economic shift in our lifetime, a unique, original script inspired by the topic. We are living through one of the most profound economic transformations in modern history, and one that could shape the future more deeply than the COVID-19 pandemic, the dot-com crash, or even the 2008 financial crisis. This isn't just about inflation, interest rates, or stock markets. It's about the very foundation of the global economy, trade. For decades, we were told that globalization, open borders, international cooperation, and frictionless trade was the key to peace and prosperity. And for a long time, that promise held true. Factories expanded across borders, supply chains became global, and countries grew richer by specializing in what they did best. But that era is starting to unravel. In recent years, leaders across the political spectrum, Republicans and Democrats, populists and centrists, have begun rethinking the globalist model. Free trade, once seen as an economic no-brainer, is now under intense scrutiny. A new consensus is emerging: economic nationalism is back. A return to made at home. Once upon a time, America made nearly everything within its own borders. Towns thrived on steel, cars, textiles, and electronics. Imports were limited and tariffs were common. But after World War II, the U.S. led a charge to change that system. Through efforts like the Bretton Woods Agreement and institutions like the World Bank and IMF, a new world order of free trade was born, with America at its center. As decades passed, more countries joined the fold. China's entry into the World Trade Organization in 2001 was a major turning point. Suddenly, global trade exploded. Western consumers got cheaper goods. Corporations posted record profits. And emerging economies like China lifted millions out of poverty. The world was, for a time, more connected than ever before. But there was a cost. The forgotten cities of America. While the global economy boomed, many American communities were left behind. Manufacturing hubs like Flint, Michigan and Youngstown, Ohio lost tens of thousands of jobs as factories relocated to lower-cost countries. The textile mills of North Carolina, the machine shops of Illinois, once symbols of American industry, fell silent. Entire towns faced economic collapse. Between the late 1990s and early 2010s, millions of American jobs vanished, especially in manufacturing-heavy regions. A 2016 study estimated that competition from Chinese imports alone may have cost the U.S. more than 2.4 million jobs. This wasn't just economic, it was deeply personal. Generations of working-class families saw their livelihoods disappear. And so, resentment grew. Not just toward outsourcing or foreign competition, but toward the entire system of globalization. A political turning point. That resentment fueled a political reckoning. In 2016, Donald Trump ran on a platform of economic nationalism, bringing back jobs, raising tariffs, and renegotiating trade deals. It was a stark departure from decades of bipartisan pro-trade policy. But even after Trump left office, the shift didn't stop. Joe Biden, despite his globalist roots, doubled down on industrial policy. His administration passed massive spending bills aimed at reshoring key industries like semiconductors and clean energy. Laws like the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act aren't just about economics, they're about strategic control. The goal? Make America resilient again. The rise of deglobalization. This movement, what some call deglobalization, is gaining traction worldwide. Tariffs are rising. Governments are intervening in markets to protect domestic industries. Corporations are rethinking supply chains not just for cost efficiency, but for reliability. Even multinational giants are adapting. Apple is shifting more assembly to India and Vietnam. Tesla is building more regional factories. Global companies are moving away from a single supply chain model to a multi-region approach to avoid disruptions like those caused by COVID-19 or geopolitical tension. And it's not just about economics anymore. It's about 1. National security. Countries don't want to rely on rivals for critical goods like ships, energy, or rare earth metals. 2. Job protection. Politicians are under pressure to rebuild the middle class and revive industrial towns. 3. Climate policy. Building green energy domestically reduces emissions from long-distance shipping and supports local innovation. 4. Geopolitical rivalry. Trade is no longer just a tool for cooperation, it's a tool for strategic leverage. The upside and the risks. To be clear, this shift does have some potential benefits. It could lead to stronger domestic industries, more resilient supply chains, and better preparedness for crises. Economically struggling regions could see new life. Strategic sectors might become more secure and self-reliant. But there's a flip side. Costs are rising. Domestic production is more expensive than offshoring. Consumers could feel the impact with higher prices. Companies may lose margins, and stock markets could face more volatility. And perhaps most significantly, if countries turn inward, cooperation could collapse. The post-war peace, built partly on economic interdependence, may grow more fragile. After all, trade isn't just about profit. It's been a key force for peace. When countries are tied together economically, it's harder for them to become enemies. Break those ties, and the world could become more dangerous. A new economic era. So, whether you're optimistic or skeptical, one thing is clear, we're not just tweaking the old system and we're entering a new one. This isn't about short-term political cycles. It's a deeper, long-term reconfiguration of how nations operate in the global economy. The world that emerged after World War II was one where trade linked us all. The world we're heading into is one where nations are pulling back, seeking more control, and focusing inward. Whether this leads to renewed prosperity or increased division will depend on how we adapt.